Oh, okay. The standards I've selected to teach a fourth grade ESL class were Literacy SL 4.1 and 4.2, which both are under this category of comprehension and collaboration, along with SL 4.4, Presentation of Knowledge and Ideas. Now, breaking it down, let's take a look at 4.1. Engage effectively in a range of collaborative discussions, one-on-one, in groups, and teacher-led, with diverse partners on grade 4 topics and texts, building on others' ideas and expressing their own clearly, with the end goal to do 4.4, presentation of knowledge and ideas under speaking and listening. Uh, 4.4 is report on a topic or text, tell a story, or recount an experience in an organized manner using appropriate facts and relevant descriptive details to support the main ideas and themes. Speak clearly at an understandable pace. So, breaking it down, the content would be collaborative discussion, topics and texts, and ideas. And their skill would be to engage, to build, and express. For SL 4.2, their content would be portions of text read aloud or information that's presented in diverse media and formats. And their skill would be paraphrasing. So, this combination of standards complement each other to provide an opportunity to build on each other's ideas as they engage in a range of collaborative discussions with diverse partners for the next 5 lessons. They had previously spent a lot of time writing and accomplishing tasks on their own, and now that that's done, we will now take their work to the next level using SL 4.1. The most important part of practicing is to express their ideas clearly and in an organized manner, which would which would be assessed along with literacy 4.2, where paraphrasing information through diverse media and formats of their choice. So this could be uh, video content or the student's piece of literature and the student's presentation, which they will do later in the unit. This goes hand in hand with SL 4.4, presentation of knowledge and ideas, where the emphasis is targeted towards retelling a concept or idea or recounting experiences in an organized manner. So when they're collecting their input as well as others' input towards a student's literature, they would be writing that down in their notebook and paraphrasing that as a formative assessment later on. Okay, so they would, within these groups, they will pull concepts from the literature and use critical thinking skills to explore specific elements that stem from those pieces of literature. They would pull these concepts on their own and approach it in a nonfiction, real world scenario perspective so that it can be researched and socially surveyed along with supporting data. So, um, which would also be used for the project later on as well. Okay, so note, you know, why didn't I use literacy RL 4.1 if I'm talking about picking out themes or main ideas, right? And the description is to determine a theme of a story, drama, or poem from details of a text and to summarize the text. I didn't use this because we touch on this superficially, with the goal really is to create their own concept, idea, or theme. And the way I designed this unit, or in the 5 days, would be to practice it, to practice pulling those pieces out gradually, and it's like a guided discovery sort of approach. So let's take a look at day 1 to 3. The first 3 days, as a pre-assessment, the students would be instructed to paraphrase a written literature. The literature could be a descriptive writing assignment or a project that they had previously completed, or we can use a short story that I would pick for this exercise. Now, if the class chooses to use their own literature, they would briefly paraphrase what another student's literature. So that's how we would warm up. Now, the goal is that this is the initial step to scaffold to a higher thinking task, to engage and expand on isolated concepts, specific concepts, and ideas that originate or stem from the piece of literature. Now, let's move on to the activity. 3 groups, 4 groups at a time. There would be a student's piece of literature up for discussion per group. The first task is to know and understand the piece of literature. Building on others' ideas, as discussed in that group, they would express opinions and first-person perspectives of what that situation would be like if they were in that situation, or what they would do differently. So in Bloom's taxonomy, this would be the lowest level, 1 and 2. The second task would be to target specific concepts that they could explore and focus on. There's also the special needs and ELL students. Now, they would have the accommodation of sticky notes to jot down ideas that cross their mind and to show it to the group and orally collaborate these ideas. Because while everyone is talking among themselves, they may lose their train of thought. So if they jot it down as the flow of thought, flow of consciousness goes through, they can write it down, and when it's their turn to talk, then they can just look at the notes. They should remain in the student's possession, the special needs or ESL student's possession, for paraphrasing, a formative assessment at a later time. Now it's time for the group rotation. And then a different piece of literature would be assigned to each group. So the student author that was sitting there 2 to 3 times while others were moving around, now they get the opportunity to play the role of rotating around and giving input on other people's pieces of literature. So this repeats until the remaining 15 minutes of class, and we would proceed to a formative assessment. As a SL 4.2 and 4.4 assessment, formative assessment, the students should paraphrase a story they remember most by writing it in their notebook. So lesson 2, begin the class talking about synonyms. As an example, use the written paraphrase they wrote in lesson 1, and on the board the teacher would write down those words that they used, and as a class we would discuss different words and synonyms to describe the same thing, and how to rearrange the sentences so that it's not too similar to the original sentence. Then we resume with the same task as lesson 1 with rotations. The formative assessment for lesson 2 would be the same as lesson 1. Lesson 3, this is going to be a little different. Review the same exercise as lesson 2 about using synonyms and writing sentences differently without changing its meaning. So when you start the lesson that way, now they are keeping that in mind as they continue to rotate. As a formative assessment, using 4.2 and 4.4 standards, core standards, everyone would try to paraphrase orally the different concepts and perspectives that they've contributed, or learn from other students' contributions to their literature. In lesson 4, we will play a video about paraphrasing, followed by a multiple choice assessment to see do they understand, thumbs down if they don't understand. Students receive a checklist and expectations of the project, and then we proceed with instructions for the project, which includes surveying, different types of homework. So I think we should end it there. Thanks for listening.